Delighted to be joined right now by Helen Joyce. She's Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters, the charity campaign group. She's also author of the brilliant book, Transgender Identity and the New Battle for Women's Rights. Good morning to you, Helen.
Hi, Julia.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, you know perfectly well what we're going to be talking about, and so does our audience. I'm absolutely in shock that such a well-known actor as David Tennant, the Doctor Who star, stars of many other, a bit of a lovey of many other series, thought it was appropriate at an LGBTQ plus award ceremony where he was being given an award for being a wonderful trans ally or something. Thought it was acceptable to say, we'll play the clip, this in front of a large crowd.
I suppose if I'm honest, I'm a little depressed by the fact that acknowledging that everyone has the right to be who they want to be and live their life how they want to live it, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, should merit any kind of special award or special mention, because it's common sense, isn't it? It is human decency. We shouldn't live in a world where that is worth remarking on. However, until we wake up and Kemi Badenoch doesn't exist anymore, I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up.
Well, that's nice of him, isn't it, Helen? He wasn't her to not exist or wish ill. He just wants her to shut up. Just before I get your comments, I just read for everyone what Kemi Badenoch said in response. Bearing in mind, this didn't sort of emerge until yesterday, which I find extraordinary, that no one in the room thought it was shocking what he'd said. Kemi Badenoch tweeted yesterday on top of this video, she said, "I will not shut up. I will not be silenced by men who prioritise applause from Stonewall over the safety of women and girls. A rich, lefty, white male celebrity so blinded by ideology can't see the optics of attacking the only black women in government by calling for my existence to end." And it goes on to say, look, this is what you've got in store with Labour. What was your reaction when you saw that video?
Well, I wasn't at all surprised. I mean, if you think of what the young actors who became famous because of J.K. Rowling have been saying about her for the last several years, I mean,
from their very large mansions that they bought with their earnings.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I don't know why we even ask actors for their opinion on politics, but since we do, I don't find this at all surprising. This is the sort of thing that gets you applause. But I think it's actually really important that we remember, as you said a bit earlier, that David Tennant has a primary-aged child, a boy whom he identifies as non-binary. And this means that he has colluded with a lie with his child. No child is not male or female. No. And the child is a very young child, still primary age. I would not normally talk about people's families at all, but...
No. But he brings it up. He raises it.
He talks about it a lot on Instagram. He and his wife tweet about the child with pictures with the face screened out, calling the child they, them, and making it clear that this child is non-binary.
So they're pretending the child's a plural as well, which I find equally horrific as a grammatical issue. He's fully signed up to this whole ideology, basically.
But it's more than that. It's that a parent who has told their child something that is not possible, which is that it's possible for the child to be neither male nor female, gets very angry with people who say, look, everybody is male or female. So that's the thing that David Tennant isn't saying there. What he's saying is, in my family, I pretend that it's possible to be neither male nor female, and Kemi Badenoch, in her insistence that women, female people, are a distinct group and have rights, is contradicting what he said to his child. Yeah. This is a big story because there are more and more people, especially in the media and in the show business, who are doing this with their children. They're not talking about it publicly, some of them, but they then go and say that women can't have rights, women are bigots if they stand up for their rights, and so on. But they're not saying why they say this. It's because they're committed inside their own.
And it's happening an awful lot of celebrities. And again, we also know, look, it's happening an awful lot in California, in New York. It's happening in, you know, I can tell you it's happening big time in North London, in the, you know, the she residences. It's terribly fashionable to have a trans or a non-binary child, or it's a very easy way of sort of writing off sort of a child who's a deeply unhappy child who perhaps needs help in some other way. And again, the sort of social contagion of this is quite extraordinary. And again, someone asked me on Twitter last night, well, what would you do if your child said that she was non-binary or trans? I said, well, you're not. That's not possible. I would talk openly about it, but that's not a thing. And here's why. Here's why I think you might think this, but here's why it's not true. But let's leave aside his child. I do think you're right. When people have signed up to all of this, they find it very difficult if anyone has the outrage, the temerity to disagree with them. But also the politics of this, because a Labour lovey says this about a Tory minister. as I tweeted yesterday, can you imagine the scenario where someone, you know, on the right, or someone, again, the idea that it's right-wing in any way to stand up for women's rights, that's a bizarre concept these days, isn't it? So but if a Tory, a Reform UK candidate, or an actor perhaps known for their sort of their being a Tory supporter or something, if they made a similar statement about a prominent Labour politician, particularly a woman and a woman of colour, there would be outrage. I mean, remember when David Cameron, foolish enough to say, calm down, dear, to Angela Eagle in the Commons, people lost their frigging minds about the misogyny, how awful it was. It was just a little joke. It wasn't that big a deal. He could have said it to a man. No one would have minded. But the fact that this man is telling this woman whose job it is to protect women and equality's rights, it's literally what she's paid as a job to do, to shut up or not exist. That is quite something when everyone in the room applauds.
I mean, Dawn Butler tweeted 3 hours ago, Dawn Butler, of course, being also a black politician, a black MP, a woman.
Who thinks that, by the way, that children are assigned sex at birth, they're not actually born a boy or a girl.
She tweeted that she agreed with David Tennant. She just said, that's the tweet. Some black women agree with David Tennant. I really think that politicians know that they get attacked all the time. I get attacked all the time. You get attacked all the time, Julia. Kemi responded robustly. Good on her. I don't defend it. I think that this sort of people should shut up. I don't approve of it. I don't respect it. I don't think it's sort of beyond the normal rubbish that people talk in awards ceremonies. As I say, we saw this directed at Jake. We're still seeing it. Yeah,
but again, you know, he's in a position, you know, he's very influential, he's a prominent actor, he's a political activist, you know, he's a hero to lots of people. I don't know who still watches Doctor Who, but apparently some people do. But, you know, you're in a position of, you know, you should be careful about the way you speak. I've never wished ill on anyone because they have a different opinion from me. I had a guest on the other day who was incredibly rude about me on Twitter. I just thought he made himself look like a fool. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I'm just like, someone goes, well, you're fat, you're ugly, you're this. I just think it's funny that someone thinks that they're winning an argument by doing that. But when the fascinating thing is it's the shut up, it's the not existing. That's the key thing. The difference is, and we're told constantly, as on the side of this debate that we're on, that we're dehumanising trans people and we want to erase their existence. Nothing of the sort. You've always spoken, and I always speak, with no malice whatsoever towards any trans people. It's about people encroaching on women's and girls' rights and our safety, and it's about dangerous men using trans rights to exploit them to then hurt women or to, you know, cheat in sport and take away women's sporting chances and the like. But it's not an attack on trans people who are just trying to go about their lives, wear what they want, call themselves what they want, and never. But it is extraordinary. I don't need anyone to shut up on the other side of the argument, and you don't, because we're able to argue our point.
I think it's great that they have to speak now. I mean, 5 years ago, nobody on their side of the argument had to say a word because we were all completely silenced. I think it's great that someone like David Tennant has to stand up and say what he thinks, which is, shut up, ladies. You know, over here we're trying to do what we want and you're commenting on it, because they show themselves for it. I'm all for it. Please, David Tennant, keep saying what you think about women and women who stand up for women's rights. Fantastic stuff, because you show yourself up for what you are and you show your side up for what you are.
Absolutely brilliant. Helen, thank you so much.